Morning folks, hope you're all doing well out there. I just finished off my coffees for the morning and now I'm making my way outside. Pretty much a standard day here. The humidity is just about to break, but unfortunately it's about to break with another pretty severe storm, and so I'm hoping we don't have another one of those flash floods or tornadoes, because if I look down that way where the tornado passed through the first time, probably about a month ago, I'm still working on the damage cleanup. Anyways, I'm going to take a sidestep from that cleanup and talk about something I've been meaning to talk about for quite some time that one of you guys reminded me of about recently. What that is how I go about undercoating and protecting my vehicles and my equipment and everything made of metal that I own from rust. Rust is, inevitable, especially if you live in a climate like I do, or even if you live out near the coast where you probably have it worse than I do. It's going to get you. I'm going to show you today how we go about protecting all those metal items you own from rust, and how you can do it relatively inexpensively, and how I've been doing it for years. So let's go on into the shop here, and we'll have a look at what exactly I use for products, where I get them from, and why I think you probably should deal with rust before it gets too bad. I don't know if you guys can hear that that clunker going down the road out there a few kilometers away, but that thing probably has rust issues. Anyways, as you can see behind you, here's my tractor. This thing rusts. There's my golf cart. This thing rusts, as does my log splitter. Darn bugs are still out. In order to combat this rust, which rust is essentially iron turning into iron 3 oxide, which that's a big chemical process we're not going to talk about. But in order to combat that process, we have to essentially eliminate a few things. You can try to encapsulate the iron and the metal with paint, which that works great when the item's brand new. But if you get any sort of chipping of that paint going on, look what's going to happen underneath. You're going to get iron 3 oxide. So you can encapsulate it with paint, or you can try to fight off the moisture. I'm going to fight off the moisture, hopefully, with that undercoating. At least that's what's going on. That's what I'm thinking I'm doing. And it's tended to work pretty good for the last several years. So let's go have a look at the actual product I use in order to fight off the moisture, because moisture essentially facilitates that oxidizing of the iron of the metal. Making our way into the shop here, and I had it locked up pretty tight. Actually, I just latch it so the wind doesn't blow the doors open. Okay, so heading on over here, let's have a look at the products I use. I tend to use 2 products, and I happen to have 2 cans handy. I tend to use this product, and I'm not sponsored by them. I buy this with my own money. I tend to buy this at Canadian Tire here in Ontario, Canada. This stuff is, for all intensive purposes, essentially the same as the other product. So that's one of them. The other product I use is this stuff, Rust Check. I probably use this more than Crown. When you take your vehicle in to get it undercoated professionally, Crown is the name of a company here in Ontario, Canada. They tend to give you this for free. I just use it because I got it for free. I do tend to buy one of those from time to time, but more often than not, I buy this product, Rust Check. I buy this at Canadian Tire as well as Napa here in Canada. I'm not sponsored by them. I paid for this. Okay. This product is essentially an aerosol. It comes out as sort of a wet, I'd say a wet oil. And I'm not talking engine oil. I'm talking more like an oily film. So when you spray this onto the metal components of whatever equipment you have, what it's going to do is it's going to coat it, but it's also going to stick to it. I've tried to use engine oil before, as opposed to Rust Check or some sort of commercial product. I've tried to use engine oil before and coat the metal components on things like my tractor. But what ends up happening with engine oil is it tends to drip. It doesn't really adhere as well as something like a commercial product. This commercial product, as well as that other commercial product, it tends to stick and it creeps. It actually will, it'll sort of move on its own. And anyone who's had a vehicle undercoated, especially a white vehicle, and then take it for a week or two and continue driving with it, you notice you have dust sticking to that vehicle in spots where dust shouldn't stick. That's because this product here tends to creep up the metal panels, up the metal components. So this stuff, really good adhesion, really good creeping. I don't know if that's even a good descriptor, but really good creeping motion to it. what I end up doing before I apply this stuff to things like my tractor or even the go-kart, golf cart or the go-kart, is I take the power washer out and I give the things a good clean. I want to make sure I'm applying this to the metal as opposed to applying it to some dirt over top the metal. So I clean off the item, whatever it is, tractor, whatnot, really good. Then I let it drip dry, usually overnight. Before I go to use it again, I give it a hit with this stuff. And I'm just spraying everywhere. I'm not gonna, be picky choosy as to where I spray it. I'm, maybe trying to avoid some of the rubber components. Maybe not trying to spray it on, the rubber hydraulic lines here. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I spray this stuff everywhere. I want to hit up all the connectors. I want to hit up all the little nuts and bolts. I want to hit up everything. See how most of the stuff under here is metal? See how everything's pretty well metal under here, i.e. it's a tractor? I'm going to hit up all that stuff with this rust check after I've cleaned the undercarriage. Once I've done that, I'm then going to let the tractor sit. I usually let it sit for I don't know, a few hours or so. This stuff does not really drip that much, but it will drip a little. So what I like to do, being environmentally friendly, even though it says it is, I like to put a tarp under the tractor or under the golf cart or go-kart, whatever it is. And that way, if there's any dripping, it doesn't go down into the soil or onto my grass, or if you got a paved driveway, it doesn't leave stains. Okay, so that's what I do. Some other things to mention about this product here. These cans aren't exactly cheap. This can here is probably about, I think it's about $7 or $8 Canadian, and it takes more than one can to do the tractor. So what I tend to do is wait for them to come on sale. And if you have a look here in the shop, oh, I got a bit of a stockpile up there. You guys can see I got all kinds of stuff. So I tend to stockpile this stuff when it comes on sale somewhere. And in my experience, it doesn't really go bad. I've had that stuff for over a year. And then you're getting it a bit cheaper than that $7 or $8 Canadian a can. All right, so what's it gonna look like when you spray it? Well, I'm gonna do that right here. And I like to spray right here, especially if you have a cab tractor. You guys can see where the paint's chipped off. Moisture, especially in the winter when I got snow on my boots, or usually snow on my boots, it tends to melt with the heat on in the cab, and it tends to accumulate right here. Okay, and so you're getting a little bit of rusting here. Obviously, this is an important part of the tractor, so you don't want this to rust through. So here's what it's gonna look like. Okay, so you guys can see that. I'm just going to put a little piece of wood underneath to catch some of that dripping. But you guys can see there, that's essentially it. You're not getting a lot of dripping, just a little bit. And that's going to get slower and slower over time. Other spots I like to spray on this tractor are under here. So what I'll do here is I will take these mats, including this cushion, out. Usually I'll do this on a nice dry set of days. I'll take this out and let the floor fully dry. I'll sweep it out, and then I'll spray all the floorboard here. You guys get a good look down there. See the floorboard, how the paint's chipped off and it's rusting? I'll spray that whole thing there and really let this undercoating or this rust check really soak in there. Then I'll, after probably a day or so, I'll put the mats back, and then I know I've got a protective coating there. Some other spots that I like to spray, all the connectors, usually right here, the fittings rather. I want to make sure these all stay in good shape. You can see this solid iron piece here, all the connections. I'm going to spray all that in there. Now some other spots I'm going to spray is anywhere the paint has flaked off or broken off or been scratched off, like right here. I'll give that a hit with this stuff. And you don't have to put a lot down, but I'll give that a hit with it. You can even take a rag and just wipe off any residual that drips underneath. But I'll do it just like that, and I'll let it sit there. Same thing with this whole section here. Okay, and I'm not going to do that section right now because it did rain last night, and there really is an important part of this whole process in that you have your machine dry before you add it. This will repel water, but it doesn't work, at least in my experience, as it's not as effective if the item you're spraying is already wet. So I like to let it dry and then I spray it. One spot that I won't spray, you'll notice these, the pivots, right? All the grease fittings already have grease in them. I'm not going to go ahead and spray in there. Of course, I will spray along the edges. If I get some in there, it doesn't really matter, but I'm not going to focus my time spraying in there because there's lots of grease in there already, which will repel water and ultimately slow any oxidizing of the iron as it is. Some other spots I'm not going to spray we open up the hood here, I will spray some components of the engine, but I'm going to make sure to avoid all the belts. This stuff is, you know, it's pretty slick. You don't want this on your belts. It'll cause the belts to slip. I'm also going to avoid getting it too close to my air filter. Obviously the air filter, and if we have a look down here, here's my air filter right in here. Obviously the air filter is covered, but if it wasn't covered because say I was cleaning it, I'm going to make sure it is covered before I spray. This stuff will attract a lot of dust. See right there on the hinge mechanism, or the latch mechanism, which holds the hood down. See how it's all dusty like that? The reason that is so dusty is because I would have sprayed this mechanism last year with the rust proofing, and ultimately the dust gets attracted to it. So you don't want that anywhere near your air filter, or you're going to have it clog up real quick. Now some of you out there may say you use something like WD-40 or some sort of similar aerosol and you just coat everything, and that tends to do a fairly good job. It probably does. However, this stuff is formulated as an undercoating agent, so it's used for fighting off rust, and so this tends to be a bit, maybe a bit better of a product for that particular rust proofing use. What I also use this for, in addition to keeping rust at bay, is also to keep parts moving that could potentially get rusted shut, or at least slowed down in their movement. You can see the telescopic link arms here. This particular link arm has to telescope, has to go in and out of that housing there. I make sure to give a good spray in here, as well as all the parts here, to make sure, and I do both sides, inside as well, to make sure we're going to slow the rust process there, because if those things get rusted up, you're going to have one heck of a time making that thing telescope. So another example of a spot I use this undercoating or rust check, rust proofing agent. Now just another note on using engine oil as a similar product to rust check. They are not the same thing. Obviously engine oil is used in engines. This stuff is used specifically as a rust inhibitor. Engine oil does tend to drip off of rusted items quite easily in my experience. It's also not particularly good, from what I've read anyways, with rubber housings or O-rings or things like that. I can't tell for certain because I haven't seen the long-term effects of it, because I don't use oil, engine oil on my vehicles except in the engine. But I have heard and I have read that it does cause potential damage to those rubber fittings, and so I tend to shy away from it. I also don't know what the environmental impacts of having engine oil dripping all over the ground is. Well, I can tell you it's not good, so I tend to avoid that. In my experience, engine oil doesn't creep as well as something like a rust check product or that Crown product, the rust inhibitors I showed you. And so that's why I stick with this, and I put engine oil in the engine as opposed to all over everything. Now, something I should mention that I tend to do from time to time in order to help the products, these rust inhibitors, do their job, is sometimes I take a putty knife and I don't go at it and start trying to pry the paint off. But what I do is if I see where paint is loose, you guys can see that I didn't cause that. I didn't flip that up already. It was like that. But if I see loose paint like that, I'll just use the putty knife and I'll just break it off. Because let's be honest, if it's starting to flake off like that, you know darn well in behind there it's not adhered, right? It's not adhered to the metal. So I'll open that up so that now at the very least I can treat it. I can either treat it with a rust inhibitor, or if I'm feeling ambitious, I can scrape all of this down to bare metal and then hit it again with some spray paint. Spray paint does tend to work, but as with anything, you have to make sure to fully encapsulate the metal. If you're going to fully encapsulate that, you got to make sure you get down to bare metal, make sure you're not trapping moisture, then you can hit it with the spray paint. Now with some bare metal being exposed, you guys just saw me flake this piece off, but let's just assume that it was flaking off naturally. Sometimes I don't have time to get out the wire wheel or wire brush or whatever and rake it down to bare metal and then paint it. If I don't have that time right now, but I plan on doing it, let's say next year or later, what I can do is I can take that bare metal and I can treat it just like I did with the rust check, with the rust inhibitor. And I'm just going to use rust check, the Crown product, just to show you it's similar. But I can hit that bare metal just to slow the rusting process, because if I were just to leave that with the moist conditions, it's definitely going to rust in no time. So as you can see, that product acts very similarly to the rust check. It drips very, very little, and in fact some of that might be water because it rained last night, and some of this panel here, some of this loader arm is wet. But as you can see, If you can see that, there's a solid sheen there. That sheen is in fact that rust inhibitor, the Crown product. Now guys, there's something to consider, and what that is humidity. Humidity is essentially moisture in the air, so you don't exactly have to have your tractor getting deliberately rained on in order for that iron oxide, the rust, to be forming. Humidity in the air mixed with the oxygen, mixed with even salt if you live on the coast, is really going to facilitate and speed up that oxidizing of the metal, which will create the rust that you can see. If you live in a climate where it's very dry, like say out in the desert, you're probably not going to have the same rust issues that I have here in Ontario, where the humidity level is very, very high. That humidity causes this thing to rust every single year. If I leave this thing sitting out for even a week, it's going to rust. It's not going to rust a lot. It's probably going to be just some surface rust, but that can lead to bigger issues like more substantial rust if untreated. If you guys live on the coast, say down in Florida or maybe even Central America, and you've got salt water at your doorstep, you sort of have that terrible triangle at hand. You've got high humidity likely, so there's your moisture. You've also got the, not mosquitoes, but you've also got the salt, and you've also got the oxygen in the air. Those three things are going to cause that iron to oxidize very, very quickly. If you're near the coast, you're near salt water, make sure you're taking the time to look over your equipment, because yours is going to rust even faster than mine does here in Central Ontario. Now, if we're talking timing for when to treat your equipment with rust inhibitor, that aerosol spray, I tend to do it in the spring. Winter here is very, very hard on everything. I use this up near my roadway where the roads are treated with salt. And so I want to make sure after the thaw has happened, and sometimes that's not until nearly June, but after the thaw has happened, I want to make sure to undercoat all my tractor after washing it thoroughly so that throughout the summer it's being protected from the very humid, dry, well, not dry, very humid, warm air. Now, oftentimes it's overlooked. Many people will undercoat with that aerosol spray in the fall, and that's just fine and dandy. But in my experience, undercoating in the spring is probably the most useful time to undercoat, because that's when you're going to get the oxidizing of the iron happening fastest. So spring for me, that's when I undercoat it. Fall, what I'll do sometimes is do a touch-up just before winter, but for the most part I get the big heavy undercoating spray put on this thing and all my other equipment in the springtime, just before it gets even more humid and just after the thaw has happened from the winter. Another thing, if you guys don't want to tackle this project yourself, it's not a big project, but let's say you're really busy and you got all kinds of equipment and you just don't have the time to do it, you guys can go down to undercoating businesses. Here in Canada, Central Ontario, we have, what's it called, Apple Auto Glass, or Speedy Auto Glass, I think is the name of it now. They tend to do crown rust proofing. There's other companies out there, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but Crown is one here in Central Ontario that is popular. You can take your equipment there and they'll undercoat it using their proprietary equipment and all this sort of stuff. But it's the same essential process and it's the same essential product. So do yourself a favor, get it undercoated and keep your equipment around longer. So guys, overall, there are many products out there which claim to inhibit rust. I tend to use Rust Check more often than not, just because it comes on sale at my local Canadian Tire pretty regularly. This stuff's not cheap, at about $7 or $8 Canadian. If you shop online, maybe it's cheaper. In my experience, not really. Maybe in the US or some other place it might be cheaper than here in Canada. Anyways, in my experience, you're going to probably use at least 2 of these cans to do an entire tractor. This is a 2012 DK40. It's a compact tractor, but it's not the smallest thing out there. So count on at least 2 cans to really get all the metal items. If you have more rusty spots on your tractor than maybe I do, you're probably going to use more than 2 cans. In my experience, more is better. You can't go wrong with spraying everything, because at the very least, it's going to slow the rust process and prolong your equipment. For me, rust is something I've been fighting my entire life, and I'm going to continue fighting because iron is going to continue oxidizing. Do yourself a favor, keep your equipment in good condition. Use rust inhibitors, try to keep the paint on the tractor as long as possible, and that way you'll have a really long service life out of all your equipment. Guys, that's going to do it for me here today. Appreciate you all watching. If you have any other questions about things I do to maintain my tractor or to keep it in operation, let me know down below in the comments. So until next time, happy tractoring, enjoy yourselves, take care, and I'll see you then.